Hello guys, Jake here, and we're going to do a little deck tech here on Atraxa. Now that the C16 commanders are online, I put together a deck. You can play this guy in a bunch of different ways because of this proliferate ability. You could go with sort of aggro counter creatures, you could go infect, or you can go super friends, you know, whatever. There's a bunch of enchantment set and artifacts that benefit from counters that you can abuse. Lots of different things you can do. For starters, I ended up with this infect list, mostly because it's the cheapest. I didn't really want to dump $100+ into it right now, but I'll probably try out other versions in the future. So I've already played and recorded 7 videos of me playing with this deck that you guys will see probably after. It's weird, I'm recording out of order. I'm probably gonna upload this before I upload those games just so you guys can see the deck list. It's done pretty well, won't spoil, but has some good games, had some questionable games. But in general, we'll run down the list. So we got Everflowing Chalice and, let's see, Astral Cornucopia as sort of mana rocks that benefit from these Atraxas Proliferate, right? So you play this for 3 mana, you can play Everflowing Chalice for 2, and once Atraxa gets out, you can pump them up. They tap for more and more mana. Similarly, Coalition Relic, same kind of thing. You put a counter on it at the end of your or you put a charge counter on it if you're not going to use it for mana, and then you could add to that counter. It'll tap for more mana on the next turn. And there is one other card that looks like I actually cut. It's like a green card. Maybe I'll get it, like Mana Bloom, I think, something like that. Yeah, this card. So this card I didn't end up playing, but this card's pretty good in the deck. It might find its way back in depending on what happens. So aside from that, pretty typical. Got Mana Crypt, Soul Ring. Go through the 1-drops. We got Enlightened Tutor, can grab some of these artifacts. You can grab things like Jitte, Resonator. Just some cheap infect creatures if I have it turn 1 and don't have an infect creature yet to play on turn 2. Grafted Exoskeleton is really good to throw it on some of the bigger non-infect creatures we have in the deck, such as our commander. Sarah Ascendant. Also one of those big non-infect creatures that we can give infect in a couple ways, but mostly it's just stupidly strong commander if you can play it on turn 1, so I just feel like I'd have to play it in this deck because it's white. So there's the Plowshares, have a couple of removal spells. Not as much as the Alluro deck since it's not really a control deck, but I like to have some answers still. Tainted Strikes, I guess one of the ways we just give a creature infect. Commander, Sarah Ascendant, see like Sun Titan and stuff later on in the deck. That's really it, I guess, but yeah, it's still good. I've got Vamp Tutor. Obviously just a flexible tutor, get whatever I need. Back to Tainted Strike, I guess I really do only have like Sun Titan and my commander as reasonable cards to give infect to. And then some like bunch of small guys that mostly already have it. So that's a card I could see cutting from this deck if I actually go through and optimize it. Bird of Paradise, just a mana fixer. It's a 4-color deck, needs those. Glistener Elf, probably the best infect creature to have in our opening hand if we have untapped green mana. Animation Module. So I don't really care too much about the first part of this ability, but the second part can basically put proliferate poison counters on people, so pretty good. If I don't have Atraxa out late game, plus I could just play it and use it right away if I have more than 4 mana. Soul Ring, Blighted Agent, small unblockable infect creature, Cyclonic Rift. This is the blue deck, so it plays Cyclonic Rift. Thrumming Bird. Whenever this attacks or deals combat damage, and it has evasion, right? Flying, so it's not the easiest to block. I can proliferate, so it's good in conjunction with the early infect creatures. Helps us add poison counters to our opponent. Counter spells, just counter spell. Might be worth substituting with a different one because of the double blue in a 4-color deck is a little bit awkward here and there. I don't think I've drawn this card yet, so it doesn't really matter. Demonic Tutor. Obviously just a flexible tutor. I'm going to be playing that and Vamp Tutor pretty much every black deck I build on here. Phrasis, another way to give Atraxa Infect pretty much, and I guess Sun Titan if that ever comes up. Plague Stinger, flying infect creature. So I guess take a quick pause here in the cards and tell you the general game plan of this deck. You really want to have a turn 1 or 2 infect creature to drop that you can use to get a poison counter on the opponent before they can get blockers out. And once you have that single poison counter on the opponent, you're pretty much set to just proliferate from Atraxa there to 10. That's still a little bit slow, so ideally you can get multiple poison counters on it. This deck has plenty of infect creatures, and it works pretty well. So yeah, I mean, rush to get at least one poison counter on him as quick as possible, and then from that point on, you sort of present a sort of inevitability, and you just have to try to push to 10 poison counters before the opponent can kill you, basically. Bloom Tender is just another, mana fixer. It's pretty good in a 4-color deck. Might not stay in the list because it is a little bit awkward here and there, because it doesn't tap for colors you don't have, and only green is only green. Basically, like if I play this on turn 2 with a forest, then it doesn't really provide me with any new colors, which is kind of awkward. So yeah, that's the thing. It could be replaced with like Farseek, Nature's Law of Rampant Growth, 2 mana fixers. Farseek was in here. Cut it for, I don't know, cut it for things. Sylvan Library is just some card draw / sort of fixes your draws really good. Good card. We have fetch lands to help us shuffle and rearrange the top 3 if we need to. So does its job pretty well. It's pretty much played in every green deck. Contagion Clasp, sort of a pseudo removal. Put a -1/-1 counter on a target creature, and you can proliferate that with Atraxa and hopefully kill some things with it. If you're not doing that, you're just proliferating poison counters. Claw Mirror, another small infect creature. It gets bigger if they try and block it, which is good, so it makes it difficult to block. Blading Greaves, mostly there for protecting Atraxa. Necropede, another small dirtily infect creature. When it dies, you can put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, which is good for removing things. Pentad Prisms, another one of the mana rocks with Proliferate, or that benefits from Proliferate. Plague Mirror, an effect creature that doubles as a mana rock, so that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that card. Shrine of Resonator can copy Atraxa's Proliferate trigger, so it's pretty good. It's not too much of a mana sink, so it's worth running for now. If I don't get value off it enough, I can see that coming out. Muzai's Jitte, not the greatest card in Commander, but if you get this on Atraxa, it's pretty silly. Yep. I don't know. This could come out. Could stay. We'll see. See how it does. I've had some good games, some bad games with it so far. Steady Progress. I don't think I've drawn this card yet, but pay 3 mana, proliferate, and draw a card at instant speed seems fine. It's kind of weak, so I could definitely see an argument for taking that out at some point. Dissipate just a counterspell. Toxic Deluge, board wipe. Board wipes are necessary. Ichor Rats, enters the battlefield, each player gets a poison counter. So this is a good way late game if, I haven't been able to get a poison counter on them yet because I had a bad early game, and, they have too many blockers I can't attack. This is a good way to get that poison counter on them and provide that inevitability. Plus, it is a small, cheap infect creature to attack. Double black is rough in its mana cost, though, so that is a thing. Phyrexian Crusader, another early infect creature, has some evasion. Again, double black can be tough. Same thing, again, Whispering Spectre. Same deal, no surprises here. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even read the other clause on this guy. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, they discard a card for each poison counter. So that's actually really good. And it has some cool art. Yeah, good card. Cultivate, Fertilid, and Kodama's Reach are all just mana. Fertilid works pretty well with Proliferate, as you can see. You can just keep putting counters on it and going to get land. It's better in like longer game, mid-range / control versions of this deck, but it's in here just, to be in here. This deck, again, a bit more aggro. Doesn't necessarily take the greatest value of this, so it could possibly come out at some point. Frozen Grip, just artifact and enchantment removal, really good. Eternal Witness, just some recursion value. Don't know if it does a ton in this deck, but it's in there for now. Viridian Corruptor, really good creature. So it's a small, dirtily creature for infect, and if you can play that on turn 3 and also blow up someone's Soaring, it's pretty sweet. Otherwise, it just acts as a reclamation stage late game. Collision Reaction, like we already talked about. Wisp of Silk Cloak. Protection for Atraxa can make him unblockable, along with other infect creatures that you'll see in the deck. Parallax Wave is a decent way to get rid of blockers. right? So this isn't always a permanent answer to creatures, although it can be with Atraxa in play, worth noting. But generally, if you have a couple infect creatures out and get 1 or 2 counters on them by turn 4, you play this. You can exile a bunch of all their blockers, attack, get a bunch more poison counters on them, and hopefully push through to a win. Wrath of God is a Wrath, pretty self-explanatory, no surprises there. Tetra's Gambit, draw 2 cards and proliferate. It'd be nice if it was instant speed, but it's still good. Drawing 2 cards. It's my kind of language right there. Proliferating is what this deck's trying to do. Viral Drake is another way to proliferate late game. Plus, it's an evasive creature with Infect, although 4 mana is a little bit late in the game to be applying the initial Infect counters. So it'll mostly be there for the proliferation part, I think. Fuel for the Cause. Counterspell that proliferates, pretty self-explanatory. Flesh Eater Imp. Another small evasive infect creature. This one definitely something that I can see cutting. It does provide some reach late game, I guess, right? So if you have small infect creatures that are just getting blocked now, even if they maybe have a blocker in the air, this guy represents the ability to pump him and just be too big to block, plus get a bunch of poison counters on. I mean, they really won't have a choice but to block him. So we'll see see how that plays out. Hand of the Praetors, basically the Infect Lord. All infect creatures get +1/+1, and whenever you cast a creature with Infect, the opponent get poison counters. So it's another way to apply poison counters late game. Crafted Exoskeleton, another way to give Atraxa Infect. Pretty much what it's there for. Karmic Guide, I don't know really what this is doing in the deck. I guess more recursion for creatures, bring back some baddies, but probably a very cuttable card. A lot of this deck list I did take from a deck list on Tapped Out, and then I tweaked it a good amount, so it's probably like 60% their list and a bunch of changes myself. But he was running this, I kind of just left it in. Inexorable Tide, so we saw plenty of this in Oloro. That's good if you can start getting value off it. We'll see if that ever happens. It's another card that could possibly be cut, but I mean, deck benefits from this ability to proliferate late game, so. Reaper of Shieldred. So this is another good way to get poison counters on them late game, right? You can't attack, you can't get poison counters on them anymore, but you play this guy. If you attack, idea they don't block, they get 2 poison counters. If they do block, they could get a bunch more poison counters. If they have a creature big enough to kill this, so like with 5 power, then you're putting 5 poison counters on them when they block, which represents a lot. And if they don't block, they're getting 2, so it's good. Puts them in a tough spot, unless they just have spot removal. Hatred, pretty straightforward here. If I have an infect creature, they can't block it, or they don't block it, right? Because it's an instant speed pump spell. I just have to pump it up to enough infect to kill. Works well with Skittles, works well with really any infect creature that goes unblocked when I have 5 open mana. Really good card. So Skittles, everybody's favorite infect dragon, really doesn't need any explanation. Putrefax is another sort of late game infect creature. It has 5 power and trample, so hopefully you could just play him and swing, get some poison on them. You have to sacrifice it at the end step, so it's not like a great long-term thing, but really all this deck wants to do is just get the first couple poison counters on them, and then we could proliferate. And this provides a way to do that late game, as well as just get the finishing counters on for the kill if need be. Excuse me. Alright, Sun Titan, more recursion, pretty much. That's about all it's there for. Another big body to give Infect to. Become Immense. It's pretty much the one pump spell along with Hatred in this deck that could just make for a really quick kill if they don't block one of my creatures. That's its job. Mind Twist, so I've been talking about putting this in Oloro for ages now. Finally got one when I put this deck together. Figured I might as well throw it in here too. Just a good card. Not at its best in this deck, but, it's just... Anytime you can empty the opponent's hand, it's pretty good for you. Mana Bloom. Oh, I guess this wasn't the deck after all, huh? Went through all the trouble to find it. It was right over here, hiding with the X spells. So, yep, I pretty much already explained that things roll in Astral Cornucopia. I guess as far as lands, it's pretty straightforward. All the dual lands and stuff. Pachukabog for some graveyard hate. Ancient Tomb. We got Inkmoth Nexus for the Infect, of course. Probably the most expensive card in this deck. It's like kind of dumb. Lots of duels. The mana base definitely could use improvement, right? You got cards like this that benefit off charge counters, and Mirrodin's Core is the other one. But I could definitely improve the amount of shocks and fetches in this deck. Sort of just a factor of the budget, so I wouldn't read too much into this mana base. You could take a look at some of the utility lands if you want to run them yourself, but in general, it's just, it's what I have available, and definitely not a very optimized mana base right now. I mean, it's a 4-color deck. It's hard to optimize a mana base like that, period. Plus, I could buy the original duels since they're pretty cheap online and stuff like that. So yeah, this is the deck. This video's a bit longer than I hoped it would be, but hope you guys enjoy. You'll see plenty of games with her to come. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you enjoy the videos. I try and put out a Magic video roughly every other day. And I'll probably follow this up with deck decks for the other decks that you've seen me play, Oloro and Riku, maybe Talrand as well, but that deck is kind of just a silly bunch of 2-cent card deck. Yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoy, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.